Okay, recording a quick video. Um, so here is basically the scan of the car. It's kind of a bunch of work because the interior was originally a separate scan from the outside, and then getting them to line up just right was kind of a bitch. But I believe I have that pretty close. The other thing I'm going to do is actually pick things on the car and measure between them, and then check on yours, the Infernus, to make sure that they match. Uh, but here's kind of some reference planes. So first, what I did, kind of basically the level of everything on the car is based on these bars here across the back. You can see here those are pretty much level with this plane, and this plane's level with like the zero line of the scene. So that bar is pretty much level. The next one up, you can see, is also level. Um, and then that's when we start running into issues. So this over here, let me make sure you can see you can see my mouse. Okay. So the brace here on the left, I hit that peak before I hit the other one. So that one is, I guess I can find out real quick exactly how much. $8 millimeters, so a third of an inch higher on this side. I feel like that, I mean, it's going to kind of be weird to measure. Yeah, because the car doesn't sit totally level. We'll figure something out, but this, we should be able to measure this and verify that this is actually that on the car. Because again, like I was saying, as these were scanned, the sensor can kind of drift when it doesn't have much to reference. So that actually could be either not off on your car or not as far off. So we'll have to check that. But anyway, but yeah. So that's the first part. Is that part is higher. And then if I go to the front, you can see that the corners of the windshield are actually higher. So like if I go to that line, well, I don't have that scanned. Okay, so I'll just go to like the top right corner. This one here is quite a bit higher on this side for the windshield. So this is the corner that it's in line with over here roughly. And then on this side, it is, do this again. There we go. Yeah, almost an inch higher. So I want to verify that before I make the roof panel, because as we were talking about, I can obviously just build it high enough to cover both of them. Um, as far as the tubes inside are concerned, so that's not really as big of an issue. What's going to make that a pain in the ass is the windshield. Like if you can imagine this, the windshield is going to have a line across the top. So if I just build the roof panel to be high enough to fit both of those, that works to cover the tubes, but the windshield is going to look like it's in there crooked. So I'll have to get kind of cheeky with that. And again, I'm not going to sweat that too much until we actually like take some measurements off of the scan and make sure it's dimensionally accurate. Because first, when I put the two scans in here without joining them, they were like, our wheelbase was like 3 inches off, which is kind of fucked. So when I joined them in the scanning software that guy used for his scanner, it actually made the wheelbase a lot closer, which is kind of strange. You can see here. So the front wheel is back like a little bit, like an inch, and then the back wheel is almost right on. So real quick, let me go in here, make it so we can sort of see through this. Oh, it's gonna lag for a second. Come on. You can do it, computer. There we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna, let me move the roof up. Okay, so basically what I try to do, the door seams aren't exact, but I tried to line basically the door seam up with where it is on your car, because I figured that's probably as close as we're gonna get to matching up the interior with the body. So basically the front and back alignment of the car, like if I were to, I basically picked where to set this with that door seam. I could do that differently if you think I need to, but I think that's kind of important because that's going to make the interior skin for your tube work and everything to line up where it needs to be. So yeah, that's something to figure out. I think that's accurate though, because you can kind of see the divot you had to put in there for your seat. That kind of shows how close you are to the ground there. Okay, so we'll have to figure that out and just make sure that we can make something work. But when we get that, like a game plan nailed down for that, which I'm sure we can do, I have obviously lots of interior shit, and then put the, I think I shoved the roof in here. I have to obviously trim this so it doesn't have these like tails coming off of it, but I've already modeled the roof panel a long time ago because I had to fix the one that was on the model. So this will be easy to adjust to get pretty much whatever we need, whatever we end up doing. And then it's got the interior as well. Now these are kind of low detail. You can see how they're blocky, so I'll have to come in here and clean these up a little bit, but for the most part I just can give you like an actual interior panel to the roof too with sun visors and stuff, which is sick. Anyway, okay, moving on from that, the other thing I wanted to show you, I had to split this up so I can kind of just drag parts of the scan instead of having to, because when I make it transparent you see all the tubes and everything and you can't really see what's going on. But yeah, so I split these up. This is how different the front clip is. So basically anywhere you see that this like red is coming through is the scan. So that's where anywhere you can see the scan, we're bigger than the original model that we started with, and anywhere you see the gray is the old one that I modeled without anything on the, like, knowing the size or having a scan or anything like that. So you can see, I'll actually drag this out to the front a little bit. I'll make it kind of blend between these two. You can see the front edge of the hood, which obviously we were going to print anyway because it looks like your front lip sticks out a lot more at the moment, but it's because across the center of my hood also sticks out a lot more. So you can kind of see that, but anyway, so I'll blend between these two. You can kind of see it's lagging. One sec. All right, you can kind of see this front edge of the hood. Stop lagging, please. Okay. This front edge of the hood, as I blend through them, you can see that it's higher. I don't know why my computer's hating this. It might be because I'm recording a video. And then even like the side vents and the lip and everything, you can see are actually up on the scan from the drawing. Yeah, this is really annoying that it's lagging like this. But anyway. So that's what's going on there. The way I know that it's higher from the ground is because there's actually these portions here. These are portions of the shop floor that are left over in the scan. So I basically use that to set where the ground is in relation to the car. And you can also see if this was totally flat, I wouldn't be able to see any thickness. So technically, it's kind of rotating weird. Let me do this. Okay, so if this was totally flat, I would have something more like this. Somewhere in here. But I mean, that's due largely to the scanner could be a little bit inconcise or imprecise, like from one side of the car to the other. But a lot of that is your suspension ride height and all that stuff isn't like exact, and the car could be like leaning ever so slightly, but we're talking like yeah, less than half of a degree. So we're probably not going to get much more accurate than that. But either way, basically I know I can't really lower the car anymore because this is like already at the ground plane. So what that means is when we measured from the ground to set the right ahead of the car, when you give me those measurements, we were off a little bit somewhere by like an inch or so. So that's not that big of a problem necessarily, but what that does mean is that these lines here, this fucking computer, these lines here don't quite make sense anymore as they're currently drawn. So I'm glad we didn't print anymore, because if I kept printing, we'd have been screwed. Because basically when the whole front of the car shifts up like that, those lines basically need to take a different route, because now you see that since the front lip starts higher, those lines have to come out at a flatter angle to be able to round the wheel like up over the top there. So that's kind of why it looks as off, which we had talked about printing the tops of that anyway. So basically what I've already started doing, and I haven't really spent a lot of time, this maybe took me an hour of messing around the other day. Probably not even that, honestly. Basically, since I've already drawn the quarters, I don't have to redraw anything. I can just stretch and skew and adjust the stuff I've already drawn. So this is, actually let me pull this one out first. Actually, I don't like how I'm doing that. Hold on. Let me move those up 6. Okay. All right. Fuck. Okay. So I've already started redrawing the quarter pin, or I keep calling them that, the front corners, the fenders, basically to trace the new line that we would need to make it kind of make sense. And it looks a little wonky, but there's no reason that shouldn't work after I'm able to adjust it. So what I suggest we do here, because you can actually see on the scan, there's some spots that were quite a bit lower. It's like here. And you can see I started redrawing the fenders higher, basically to trace the lines that you actually need versus like the differences in your car versus the model I started with. Let's see. So I started by just moving the lip up, and then these kind of, basically the part we printed for the front fenders, I also moved up, and then I just kind of adjusted the fender, like these lines, to meet that and to make a smooth curve. So basically, at the end of the day, this line here is where I was drawing this line into, but that line is not in the same place on your car, because these fucking things are not anywhere near the same place on your car. That's how far off the lines are from an allegedly, it's assuming the Murcielago body I started with was exactly correct too, but these door skins are way different. They're out and up a little bit. So basically, I just need to draw this line to eventually end in this one, like the one that goes over the wheel, which isn't hard or bad. It's just that it's a different, since our front end is higher. My front end was lower than yours. And then this line by the headlight actually needs to come out about an inch to trace into that line. So yeah, basically I just need to redraw the quarters to do that, and then the door skin thing is not really going to be that much of a problem because they're off a little bit between each other. So let me do this, make it sort of transparent a bit. Please stop lagging. Okay. So there you can see this door line is quite a bit higher. And then obviously the top edge of the door is way higher, which I hope isn't a problem with us using the interior scan, but I'll kind of talk with you more about that. And then this line is actually way closer. Kind of hard to tell, but you can see it's like not very far away from the one on my model. But also this door is down a little bit from, I'm not sure if this back chunk of the quarter, like in here, because you have this separate, I'm not sure if that could be high, or if this door, I mean, actually you can see here, this door looks lower because I can see the other door through it. That's the top edge of the other door. I assume that's probably, I mean, it's not quite all of it, but this door where it's down from that line, you can actually tell that's a lot of the reason that that body line's different. So that's not really that big of a deal. But basically I need to redraw these fenders to fit those lines, and then I say we for sure print them now, since I have this scan, because it's going to save us a bunch of work. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, so on these front corners, like I was saying, anywhere you can see this surface, that's where we're larger than the, that's where the model is bigger than your scan. So we're not really too big anywhere, like from the things that you've built, but this fender comes out way fatter than yours. See if I can. Yeah, so that's a lot of fiberglass or cutting and fixing shit or a shitload of body filler, which I don't think any of those are really the way to do that. Trying to necessarily fix that. And again, we talked about printing part of this. The other thing, though, with this is I actually moved these headlights up a little bit too when I was doing that. Let me get these out of the way. Get out of the way. Okay. This line here, because basically we pulled this corner up. Let me make this not transparent. We pulled this corner up to fit these pieces. And basically what that did, the way we cut and adjusted that, is it let the rest of this stay low as well. So on top of the lines not really tracing the same path anymore, and making the smooth curve like the original front end had, this is going to be really, really, really hard to fix. It's going to be way too much body filler. Trying to cut it and flatten it, I think, is going to be a pain, and it's like maybe $40 in plastic to print this. I say we print it, and then we just print the outline for the headlight too. And then the hood is remarkably almost exact, it looks like. Here's the whole front clip. Actually, I need these ones. So I think we should print into the hood line and then just use your hood. And then we can print across the front of the hood or something like that. But I don't think we need to really print the entire front clip of the car. But I think printing up and over the top of this, you can actually see like it's the car as you've built it so far is higher than the model. That's not really a big deal because this part actually looks stupid in my opinion. I think yours is going to look better with it staying higher going over the wheels. That looks dumb. That was mainly just the way when we decided we were going to try to make the Infernus shaped like front. That's just kind of how mine ended up being raised without me having to adjust the quarters. That's not really a big deal. But what's going to suck is how much more of a bow this makes going into the front. You can actually see here how different that is. And this is already with me drawing the, like, bringing the front up and then trying to, like, redraw it. There's, like, quite a bit of space there. So I think us printing this is going to save us a bunch of time and we're going to end up with a better result. Because me floating that, like, even if we get close and I float it with body filler, it's going to take forever, and it's just going to, it's honestly going to be so much more expensive than just printing it. And printing it'll need body work too, but it's already like the right shape. All I have to do is fill the lows and make it like the same shape but smoother, which is just a way easier. So I think that's what we should do there. The rest of it looks good. Unless you want to lower your ride height at all. Because this is where we were. This is the original lip as I have drawn it, which means the side skirts are also lower, which means the rear diffuser is also lower than what we're going to need for yours. Now, maybe you don't want to lower it this much, but if we kind of figure out if you like where that's at, or if you want to change it, which I don't necessarily think we should, but if you want to, I need to kind of figure that out before I get too carried away redrawing other stuff we're going to print. But yeah, so this is the same lip, just kind of adjusted to line up with your scan, and then that's where I originally drew it. So your front end was a little bit shorter, and a little bit higher up. But that means, so this is where your side skirts currently end. Those are also, like the ones I've drawn are also way lower. I think that's the part I'm worried about most, because I feel like these are going to look weird if they're that much higher off the ground. But that's something we can talk about and figure out as well. Then as far as the back is concerned, your rear end is actually shorter than mine too, which I also don't think is a bad thing. I think it looks way cooler. But basically this is even less work. I just need to, I've already kind of lined up the pieces that we did print, because I took that picture, and to make the center panel I had to figure out kind of where we were off and what we ended up doing with those pieces. So this basically just needs shoved into the car a little bit more, then I'll just reshape this wheel arch. That'll also help. This is out of date because I redid this, but the top of this arch kind of needs to be at least closer to center over the wheel, which I think would look better. But yeah. Anyway, so I'll kind of go around the car a little bit and then kind of show you where we're different and by how much. Computer is going to be laggy, but it's weird to me that the door skins are that much different, but it's kind of not really an issue. But that's like, my quarters I feel like are also going to look better. Being able to stay wider than I've originally drawn them. Which again, I haven't started remodeling any of these yet. Yeah, I feel like that's gonna look pretty sharp if when I draw that to match your body that you have. But yeah, that's kind of where that is. And then I already kind of showed you the back. I'll drag it out here. So the back is very close, which is good. The other thing was the roof vents. My roof vents are shallower than yours, which I didn't think was going to be the case. Yeah, mine are way lower. And they also cut super far back, which is not a problem. But because I was going to print that lead edge, we were just going to build back from there. But yeah. Other thing I want to show you real quick is where's the interior? Oh, here. Okay. So here's the interior scan as it lines up with the rest of the car parts. The roof panel I was showing you. Fuck. Okay. They're already very close, even without adjusting. Obviously, figuring out if this corner is actually that much higher, or if it just looks that way in the scan. That is very simply a matter of me grabbing this stuff and moving it up. Looks like the A-pillar needs to be like slightly wider, but not much at all. It's kind of just scaling it out, and then we're good to go on a roof panel. But yeah, pretty sure that's all of it. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of, I hadn't really shown you like a detailed view of the scan after I got it lined up, and then I kind of did that 3 or 4 times to get it as good as I could. But anyway, all right, let me know.